Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Arina Anisie, and I am from the IRENA Innovation and Technology Center in Bonn. Hopefully, most of you know who IRENA is, but just in case, we are an intergovernmental organization with 161 member countries. We support countries in their transition to a sustainable energy future and serve as the principal platform for international cooperation, a center of excellence, and the repository of policy, technology, resource, and financial knowledge on renewable energy. Our analytical work and our engagement with our member countries generates a lot of valuable insights, and we are constantly looking for more ways to share those insights. This is why 1 month ago, we launched as a pilot a fortnightly IRENA Insights webinar program. So every other week, presenters from one of IRENA's team, either alone or together with their invited guests, will share with you key findings from their latest work and will offer you insights into opportunities, trends, and best practices, but also innovative solutions to address various challenges. We aim to keep these webinars short, around 30 minutes maximum, so we cannot cover everything, but we hope to give you enough to decide whether to delve deeper, and we will signpost further sources of more in-depth information to help you do that. So today's webinar, Where is Renewable Energy Innovation Heading? What patents data can tell us? Will explore patent data analytics and how to translate this into valuable insights for policymakers, entrepreneurs, industry, investors, and other key stakeholders in the energy sector. And by using the online IRENA platforms, Inspire, the webinar will show how to search for patents in different renewable energy technologies to identify innovation trends, front-runner countries, and leading technology organizations. Our speakers today are Ms. Alessandra Salgado, who is our patent expert at IRENA's innovation team, and Mr. Francisco Boshell, our expert on and team lead on renewable energy technology standards and markets. Their presentation will be 20 minutes long and will allow 10-minute session for questions and answers. Before I hand over the microphone to Alessandra and Francisco, I have a few housekeeping items to cover. So today's webinar will be recorded and available together with the presentation slides on IRENA's webinar websites. The previous webinar's recording and slides are already there, so please check them out. The link will be shared with you in the in a follow-up email. All of you are currently muted and will remain so throughout the webinar. We would love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have any question for one of our speakers, please feel free to send it through the question feature that you can find on the webinar panel. We will be monitoring the question throughout the session and select some of them to be answered by our speakers. Due to time constraints, we apologize in advance if your question is not answered. You may also download the report on which this presentation is based in the handout section after the presentation. If you experience any technical difficulties, please try to reconnect by dialing in via phone. You can try the number by clicking on the phone option located on the webinar panel. If your technical difficulties remain unsolved, you may write to us throughout the chat section and we will try to help. So, without any further delay, let me kick things off by welcoming Alessandra and Francisco. Francisco, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Irina. As we have discussed in the previous IRENA webinars, we are in the midst of a global energy transition towards a more sustainable, affordable, and low-carbon energy system. A positive aspect is that we are not lacking innovation to realize this transition. Actually, if we look, for example, at the electricity sector, we can see emerging innovations on the one hand in renewable energy generation technologies. We have now offshore wind plants, floating PV, building integrated PV, and so on. But on the other hand, these innovations are now also accompanied by innovations in technologies that enable higher shares of renewables in power systems. As we can see on the screen, these enabling innovations include more advanced battery storage technologies, digital technologies like artificial intelligence or Internet of Things, for example. With a lot of innovation activity in many areas, it is useful to better understand what are the development trends that we can observe. This to identify, for example, technology sectors that we could expect to be deployed at mass scale in the coming years, or the speed of the transition, or possible blind spots on innovation that need more attention. But what kind of metrics can we use to better understand such trends? So this webinar focuses on how patent data can be used for that purpose, and the web tool Inspire that IRENA has created to access patent data on renewable energy. Patents are part of the instruments to secure intellectual property rights. A patent is the right given to a patent holder to exclude others from commercially exploiting its inventions in a certain geographical area and for a limited period of time. So it basically seeks to give inventors the security that they can economically benefit from their inventions and then incentivizing innovation. But in addition to its intellectual property protection role, patent documents have other very interesting features. For example, patent documents are publicly available. So we have access to these documents, which include interesting data like the technology field related to the patent, if it's coming, for example, for the energy sector, pharmaceutical sector, automobile industry, etc. The date of the patent filing, the name of the filer, where the patent has been filed, and more. So this rich amount of useful data make patents a very interesting metric to trace innovation trends. In IRENA, we have actually been using patent data to inform our innovation, renewable energy innovation work for the last 70 years already. And for that, we have created a web tool with the great support of the European Patent Office, EPO, and we decided to make it publicly available. So all users like you can easily access renewable energy patent data. Now I hand it to Alessandra as she will demonstrate what can be done with this interactive tool.
Thank you, Francisco. So let me show you how you can run your own patent analysis. As Francisco said, we have developed a tool that is available for all of you, and it's called Inspire. Inspire stands for International Standards and Patents in Renewable Energy. And you can also see in the slide the URL for you to access it. So you can log in into, you can access inspire.irena.org and already get into the platform. So this is a tool that provides in a friendly way patents and standards information. And it's an open door for all of you to monitor innovation, renewable energy technologies, and in a way also start looking on all these upcoming trends and how to prepare better in the short future for this fast changing market. So as you can see, Inspire is divided in 3 sections: patents, standards, and quality assurance. And in the patents part, if you click on it, you'll see in patents you can find valuable information from early beginners in the topic to the ones more advanced. Just right here. You can learn what is a patent, how to file a patent, or go through other topics such as patent benefits and their role in the innovation ecosystem. But I will go today into how you can actually get the data. So there you can learn about patents that I just mentioned. And to look into our dashboards, then you will go into renewable technology patent reports. In here, we have a collection of dashboards that you can customize based on your interest. This first dashboard gives you the analytics of global trends. So here we have the global generation technologies for power generation. And as you can see, I just filter for geothermal energy. Then you will see the growth of the different patents for this power generation technology. We have another set of data when you want to go deeper into one technology profile. As well, we have broken down this to the different power generation technologies, and you can look at different technology subgroups. So in here, I did the example of geothermal and specifically heat pumps. This dashboard has a very special part that includes different organizations that are filing these patents. So in here, you can see who are those actors that are active in all these inventions. Then we have another dashboard here that is called Enablers Patent Evolution. And in this dashboard, let me just take a minute, because some of you that have worked in this sector have noticed that innovation is not just sticking to main renewable energy technologies. So at IRENA, we have taken the time also to look into those inventions that are enabling more renewable energy into the system. So this is why we call them enabling technologies. And from the video, what we're looking are into patents in buildings, in energy generation, transmission, distribution, also into the field of the smart grids and transport. So in here, I made an example for transport and specifically for you to look into the patents for electromobility. Then you just click here specifically for electromobility, and then the time series appears as you're looking for. Finally, we have two more dashboards available for you, one on global trends. And this one is a way to understand who are those countries involved. This is just a short example for wind power technologies. And then you can see which are those countries that are actually filing these inventions. And finally, let's go more into a country level context. This is very relevant just to look the breakdown of the different technologies that are being filed in countries. So here I did the example, click for Australia, and you can see the different breakdown across the years. So for solar energy, wind, bioenergy, you can see the share of the patents in the country. One question we receive a lot is how to know more about patents and who is our local office. And this is why we develop also a dashboard that gives you information which is your IP in your country. As well, here I for Australia, and then the organization managing the patents in the country. Finally, I also want to take the time on this opportunity and show you the standards module. This is we find this is also relevant in the context of innovation because standards answer to the question what is already out there and what are the best international practice in a product conception and operation. So in Inspire, we also have this standards section, and there's a database that you can also access and use as per your interest. This database covers the different power generation technologies and also the different types of standards. And finally, who are those standard making bodies? This is very easy to use. You can also click and look for one of the technologies of your interest and look for different sub-technologies. For example, solar energy, then you can also filter by PV and solar thermal. Then on the right side, you have the different standards. What are they about? Also, what are the other standards that are applicable for this one and how to access it? And in Inspire, what we have done is that, for example, taking this first standard on temperature irradiance corrections, you can actually access the standard by clicking on the IEC website. And there is where you can access the standard, let's say, the whole document. Finally, likewise, we have also done the same exercise looking at who are these experts that are developing standards. And here are all the different technical committees that are working in the standards development. You can click on that. As we just saw, we're looking into solar energy standards. These are the country involved and the ones that are developing. So now we would like to move forward, and Francisco and I will give you some hints and ideas on how to digest this data and use it in your reports, short analysis, or presentations. In summary, this dashboard, I just showed it in the video, and it gives you an easy visualization of the patent panorama. Before entering into the insights, a key aspect when analyzing patent data is the time frame. So I also want to highlight here the scale, that it goes up to 2016. In Inspire, we're looking into the filed patents, and normally a filing process can take around 2 years, and in some cases even longer. So data in the last 2-3 years is not so reliable, because a patent that was filed in 2016 may be reflected in the database even 2 years after. So this is why you see that in our graphs, we don't have 2019 or 2018 data. But on the first half of this year, we're working to incorporate data for 2017 and most likely 2018. And another important consideration is, where is this data coming from? At the moment, data populated in Inspire uses as a source the patent database, and this is from the European Patent Office, also known as EPO. So let's go back into this bar graph. Many points to underline here. So as you can see, there's over 600,000 patents in renewable energy by 2016. And this number was influenced by strong annual growth of around 17%. We also can catch there from the graph, this is strong representation from solar, wind, and bioenergy that actually accounts for the majority of the patents, around 90% of these inventions. And another key point is that solar energy is a leading technology in inventions. And in a way, this has also helped this fast market development. Another final highlight you can come up from this dashboard is that all technologies tripled their patent filings in the last 10 years, so from 2006 and 2016. And let me walk you through another kind of analysis you can do with patent data. Let's take solar PV technology, one of the power generation technologies. And in the graph from the left, you see an impressive patent increase for this technology. But let's compare it with others. Let's study another ramping sector, that is electromobility. And in the last 10 years, the electrical vehicle charging has experienced a 16-fold growth in patents. In patent absolute numbers, well, you can see that solar has more patents. However, electromobility has been experiencing a more accelerated growth rate. Then what is the main message here, or what can this tell us? The point that we can highlight here is that innovation is now moving from power generation technologies to other and new enabling technologies, such as electric vehicles. And let me hand now to Francisco, that will show you other kind of analysis that you can do with patent data.
Thanks, Alessandra. So we have seen how patent data can provide evidence in the electricity sector on a shift in innovation focus from renewable energy generation technologies to enabling technologies that also help to increase the share of renewables in power system. But now let's move from the electricity sector and look, for example, at the liquid fuels sector, quite important for the transport sector. So the last year, we published an article on innovation in liquid biofuels using patent data. By the way, the link to the sources of the charts and the data that we use in this webinar are all available at the bottom of each slide. I heard that there are some problems with the visualization of the bottom part of the slides in the webinar, but don't worry, all the slides will be available after the webinar, as well as the recording of the video. From this analysis, we have observed, if you see at the chart on the left side, that there was a peak in the annual patent filing of liquid biofuels in 2011, and then a steady decline. So to understand the cause of this negative trend, we then look at the annual investments in liquid biofuels, which is the chart on the right side, using also another IRENA dashboard called resource. And what we can see is that there is also a peak in investments in liquid biofuels in 2007, and then we see the same declining pattern in investments. Investments actually were affected by regulatory instability in important markets for biofuels, making investors actually reluctant to put money on biofuels. And this may also have been the reason to discourage innovation efforts for starting 4 years later in the field of liquid biofuels. Another highlight from this, the use of patent data in this case, is that innovation doesn't always occur where commercialization is taking place. As you can see on the screen, countries, especially on the left side chart, which shows the top patent filing countries, countries like Japan, Korea, Australia, Mexico, are among the top patent filing countries for biofuels, while they are not on the top as production markets. This may indicate, for example, an interest from an industrial perspective in those countries in a biofuels technology market to be exported to other regions with more feedstock options available for production. On the other hand, if we look at the chart on the right side, countries like Thailand and Indonesia are large biofuel producers, but they don't have very high patent activity. This may show a potential opportunity to develop a local industry that can benefit from economies of scale in such geographies. So this example on liquid biofuels illustrates again how patent data can be used to better understand technology trends and inform policy actions where they are most needed to support low carbon technology development and deployment. Patent data is not the only indicator to monitor technology development trends and innovation. We also have, for example, R&D investment numbers or the number of scientific publications in certain fields as other commonly used indicators. But patent data are actually quite useful indicators because they are easily accessible and they can provide us with evidence on innovation activity and technology trends in the renewable energy sector. We can also look, for example, at cases of co-invention, which indicate international cooperation. We can also identify who are the leading countries or even inventors as potential partners to develop certain technologies for my local market. And also knowing where patents are filed or where inventors are interested to patent their inventions give us also an indication on what are the potential markets for certain technology groups. So Inspire is a tool for you to use. And Alessandra will now tell us more about who is already using it.
Thank you, Francisco. So this slide tells us some of the current Inspire users. And as an intergovernmental organization, we're aware that different governments have used the platform, such as Germany, Spain, United Arab Emirates, among others. We have also private sector using Inspire, such as consultant groups, and has been the case, for example, from KPMG. And in addition, we have other research and development institutions and IP offices making good use of the available charts and data in Inspire, as is the case of IASS and IEP. We're reaching out to the end of our webinar, and let me just share with you the different work that we carry out on the innovation side. At IRENA, our innovation work goes beyond patent analytics, and we have a team from various backgrounds working in different work streams. And of course, we use patent analytics in many of this work. So you can see on the top left, there's a series of publications called Innovation Outlooks. And these reports, they provide a deep analysis on the upcoming advancements of renewable energy technologies in the next 2 decades. We also have another stream of reports where we have worked in close collaboration with the World Intellectual Property Organization, as it was the Global Innovation Index. And we're looking also to work in the close future in capacity building with WIPO. Likewise, we have also worked in policy briefs using patent data in collaboration with the European Patent Office. And we have some other publications that you can also access in our publications site at irena.org. Other innovation work is the recent publication from last year on the Innovation Landscape Report, and then its applicable case for Sweden. As we saw today, we have Inspire, and we're working now to make a revamp of the platform and the update on the different patents. And finally, we have IRENA technology briefs that they go deeper into one technology and explain how they work. Finally, we would like to close this presentation with a date for you to pencil in your calendar. On September 8th to the 10th, IRENA will host the 3rd edition of the IRENA Innovation Week. This event is gathering around 300 leading policymakers, innovators, developers, and investors across the globe. So this time, we will convene to explore how systemic innovation can support the electrification of end-use sectors through the use of renewable energy. We will post more information in our IRENA website, and also you can see there's an email. Please feel free to reach out to us if you're interested to participate. With no more, then I will pass now to Arina for any questions that we have from the audience.
Thank you very much, Francisco and Alessandra, for this very insightful presentation. Let me go directly to the questions. We have already received several ones. Thank you again for the ones who posed the questions. You can still do that during the last 10 minutes of the webinar, where we answer them if we have any other question. I will start with one question that we received here. What can policymakers do with patent data, actually?
Okay, then I'll go for this one. For us, what we have seen is that they can use this information to shape their research and development policies and initiatives. So a policymaker can actually take this data and understand what are those technologies that the country has a focus on, what are those emerging trends, and in a way they can guide incentives, financial support, other policies that can assist the further development of these patents. So this is one of the ways that policymakers can use patent data. And another option is that it can also serve as a cooperation window for them. So by being aware of what other countries are doing, with which other breakthroughs they're looking on, they can also start different channels for potential cooperation opportunities. So then, Marina, I see mainly these 2 points, to shape better policies in R&D and also to use it as a cooperation window.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. I'm going to the next question that I see. What is the reason for the tapering off in patents fields between 2010 and 2016? Mm-hmm. Francisco, can you give us an insight?
Thanks, Arina. This is a very important question. Indeed, we have seen a decline in the number of patents in renewable energy generation technologies since 2011. And we have analyzed that, and we have different potential causes for that. One is that generation technologies such as wind and PV are getting more and more mature and cost effective. Therefore, maybe not so much interest anymore in supporting innovation in a technology which is now has basically reached commercialization. The second is that we also see a spillover of innovation into other sectors, like, for example, enabling technologies to allow more integration of wind and PV. For example, digital technologies, electric vehicles, and so on and so forth. And in that sense, we have clearly seen that digital technologies and, for example, electric vehicles, electrification in the heat sector, patents are growing at a faster pace now than renewable energy generation technologies. And the third one, especially for non-electricity sectors, like, for example, we mentioned the case of biofuels, also regulatory instabilities which impact the deployment market for those biofuels have also impacted the interest and the efforts on innovation in this field. So it's a combination of different aspects that have impact this decline. But what we can see is that anyway, innovation is expanding to other sectors, which also is important to highlight to make this energy transition possible.
Great, thank you. I received here another clarification from one of our attendees. Could you please repeat what are the data sources for the patent analysis?
Of course. So this is from Barbara. And Barbara, what we're using is we're taking the database from the European Patent Office. This is EPO, and they have what they call PatStat database. This is a very comprehensive database, around 100 million patents. And what we're doing in Inspire is that we're running an algorithm just to extract the patents that are applicable for renewable energy technologies. So our main source is EPO, the European Patent Office.
And maybe a follow-up question to this one. What is the database that is used for the standards?
For standards, we're doing it in-house. And how we're also doing it in-house, we are searching for the different applicable standards. We have a team that is working on project development that they also feed in information for this. And we're working as well in collaboration with the International Electrotechnical Commission and also with ISO, the also International Standardization Organization.
Great. Then we have received another question from Bilal. What specific field of solar PV energy is leading in patents?
Yeah, thanks. Historically, it has been on multicrystalline solar cells. So this is the area that dominates most of the inventions historically for the PV sector. But now we are seeing increasing numbers in, for example, organic or also thin film cells. Also in certain areas of application, because using this patent database, you can also look into, for example, patents related to integration in buildings, etc. And this is an area, for example, PV, building integrated PV is also increasing. But historically, it has been multicrystalline cells.
We are approaching the end of the webinar, but maybe we have another 3 minutes for a last question. We have received a very interesting one here that maybe we can have some insights on this aspect. Can patent data be used to trace technology transfer to developing countries?
Yes, it can be used, but here we have also to be clear that there is a little bit of a gap in data access, because patent is kind of one side of the coin. The other side of the coin in terms of technology trading or transfer is licensing. So to know which countries are recipient of this technology in terms of getting licenses to certain patents. And as I mentioned, patent data is publicly available, relatively easy to access, but unfortunately, licensing is not so easy to access. It's not really publicly available. This is basically sovereign data from each country, and some countries, well, actually one maybe only request license data to be available, the others don't. So this makes things a little bit more complicated, let's say. But certainly, just using patent data, just that part, you can see potential markets based on where these inventions are being patented. If we would have access to licensing, it would be even a stronger tool, because then we could really link origin with a recipient of these technologies.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, the time is up. So many insightful questions to choose from. Let me thank today's speakers for their captivating presentation today and very pertinent questions we have received from the audience. Thank you very much. We hope that these insights from our colleagues are of great value to all of you. A couple of final announcements to share with you. To be able to reflect on the delivery of our webinar and ways to improve it, we would appreciate your feedback. We would like to invite you to complete a very short satisfactory survey, which will appear at the end of the webinar and which will be shared with you in the follow-up email. Thank you in advance for that. And last but not least, we would like to invite you all of you to our next edition of the webinar series The next one, it's grid stability with high share of renewables that is transforming small island power system. It will take place in 2 weeks on Tuesday, 18th of February at 10 CAT time. You can already register on our website, and the link will be again shared with you in our follow-up email. Once again, we thank you all for attending this webinar session. Goodbye and see you soon.